because you've used this phrase twice, modern women. I want to point out that the word modern was first coined in the 1500s. So what is a modern woman?
See, I have to separate modern women from everybody else, from other women. I have to,
Okay. But
because
what are they? What does that mean?
I don't want to put a blanket saying modern women are modern women to me is the feminist movement, is the feminism. Modern women to me are women who are not traditional women. Modern women are the women of today who, to me they're out of control. They're the ones telling the guy that you got to make six figures or more, or I'm not dealing with.
Okay.
They're the ones
Okay, that has
we would
nothing to do
call.
with feminism, but okay.
Well,
I hear what
that's
you're saying.
that's if we're going to say modern women, we're going to say they are modern. They're not the traditional. They're not the traditional. They're not my grandmother. They're
Right.
not the women of my grandmother's
So
period.
what was traditional? Because women tried to get vote, or actually did get voting rights in 1920. So were they modern women?
I won't say no. I won't say they were modern women. I would say they were progressive women, but I won't say necessarily modern women. I
Okay.
think modern and
So
progressive.
I asked that question because the terminology sometimes blurs the point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any inherent value in identifying someone as a modern woman, especially when you conflate the idea of feminism as somehow being out of control, and that has something to do with modern women. I don't see the distinctions there. Feminism has nothing to do with a woman wanting a man with money. That's as old as the hills. There's nothing
Well, no,
modern
let me
about
not.
that.
No, no, let me not say feminism has something to do with what feminism is about. It's supposed to be for equality.
Mm-hmm.
If feminism is just about equality, I'm okay with that. But it
Mm-hmm.
comes with some things, you know. If I have nothing against a woman working, right? Taking care of herself, right? Providing for herself because she doesn't have a man. But what I do have a problem with is when modern women make that the focus. They put everything above family. I did a show I did a show and I geared it towards black women. I said, what's more important than building the black family? What's more important than finding a man, submitting to that man, cooperating with that man, and building a family? Why are black women so against submitting to a black man? Or and why are they waiting so long to couple and get married to a black man? Why are they waiting till they have two, three children by different baby daddies or and then try to find that one? Why are they waiting for this soulmate that I don't believe in? There's no such thing as a soulmate. The one you're with is the one you're with. You make it work. You ride it out. You make a vow and you commit to it. I don't see nothing wrong with saying, hey man, I'm gonna rock with you, you're gonna rock with me, we're gonna build this family, and we're not gonna let nothing come in between that. Not even our own insecurities. We're gonna figure it out. Because that's what our parents did. There wasn't no soulmate back then. There was a, we're getting together and we're riding it out. Death do us part.
Right. So
There was
so what you're describing is nostalgia, right? The idea that before things were wonderful, and that's just demonstrably not true.
no. I never
Um,
said it was. I never said it was. It wasn't. I never said that it was all perfect because we know.
no,
We
I'm not. I
know.
didn't say you said
We
it was
know.
perfect. It's
We know.
this idea that before the way things were before were somehow better than the way they are now. Like for instance, who is against building a family? Because you said that people don't do
Modern
that in
women
there.
too. Modern women are against.
Modern women are against
Modern
that.
women. Modern
You've
women
heard
don't
people
want to
say
get.
I'm against family.
It's what they show. It's what they say. It's what they do. They don't. They never say they're against family. But what are they doing to help build a family? If you're not getting with a man, what are you doing? If you're not saying, "Hey, man," if you're not stuck in this hypergamous mindset, I gotta wait for the you got to set all these requirements that are preventing you from getting what you want. that is
Well,
detrimental to
hypergamy
the
again
family.
is as old as the hills.
Yeah, it's hypergamy. It's
Yeah,
hypergamy.
but
It's
that's
the
old.
idea
There's
that
nothing
you
new
can.
about that. There's nothing interesting about that. It's people tend to want
It's still
security
around.
in their relationships.
They,
But
they
again,
want more than
so,
security.
okay, so what? I don't understand this idea that women are through their behavior are inherently against family.
Well, you know what?
But,
Let
Well,
me
you know
bring this
what?
video up. Let
Hey,
me
can I
go
jump in
ahead,
right
Jeff.
quick?
I'm gonna bring this video up, and then we're gonna. I want y'all to hear a 14-year-old girl. Well, it's not
okay,
even.
well
It's gonna be a
before we
lady.
get to the 14-year-old girl, let's keep talking about women. That's a girl. But go ahead.
Well,
What,
I'm
what,
just saying
what,
that this is what's being perceived. I mean, 14-year-old is still a woman. I mean, you might call her. She's a young girl, but she's a woman, and she's perceiving. When you're 14 through 16, you start coming into your mind. You start realizing some things. You start growing. You start experiencing things. When you have these people telling you, "Hey, man, I wanna have 2 kids without a dad, without a
Mhm.
father." That's a problem. That's not helping build a
Yeah,
family.
again, but the thoughts of a 14-year-old, and I saw that this was part of the conversation, and I'm not dismissing it, but right now we're talking about adult women, so
Adult women.
well,
So adult women.
mhm.
Why are they waiting so long to get married?
Well,
Chocolate Brown, what's your
there's
opinion?
lots of answers to that question, right? So first of all, why do you think marriage is the only goal, is the only possible outcome? It's not. Okay, there's different lifestyles. Like you used the word earlier, should. This is how things should be, based on what, right?
Well,
There's
I got to come from a biblical standpoint in this.
okay,
I got to
okay.
come from.
So then, from a biblical standpoint, that means that if someone eats shellfish, you're killing them, right? Because
No,
that's
the
what the
Bible doesn't
Bible
say
says
that.
to do. Yes, it absolutely does. In Leviticus and Deuteronomy, there are paragraphs and paragraphs
No,
devoted to the fact that
yeah,
eating shellfish is
diet.
an
Yeah,
abomination.
it is. But we know today through science that it's not necessarily healthy. We know that.
Oh, okay, but again, the Bible says
We
you're
know.
supposed to murder people who eat
Uh,
shellfish.
uh, I
That's
don't
what it
know about.
says.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
You don't have to know. I know. I've studied the Bible for
Okay, okay,
decades.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
guarantee you, just
Let me say this. Let me say
look
this.
in
I
Deuteronomy,
know the
look in
Bible
Leviticus.
from Genesis to the maps. Okay, in Hebrew, in Greek,
Mhm.
Aleph, Bet. I mean, I could start. I
And
do
in
have I
Leviticus
do
and
have a biblical
Deuteronomy,
study. I
both
do
of
have a
those
biblical study
sections,
background.
it
It does
talks
say that
about.
they are an abomination, but it doesn't say they're gonna kill you if you eat some
Yes,
shellfish.
it does.
It's
An
not gonna.
abomination by its very nature is punishable by death. Come on, man. Let's be
It is
real. If
not.
you're going to quote the Bible, let's quote the Bible.
Okay, but when he's saying it's an abomination, he's not talking about it's an abomination by that. There's something called transliterary interpretation, and if you go back to the Greek, it does not say that it's going to kill you. I
hmm
mean, now he used
Greek isn't the
now
first
King
language, and
James
that wasn't the
uses
language that the Bible was written in. So why would we go to Greek?
well the Bible was written in Aramaic. The
hmm
Bible was written in
So why
Aramaic.
would we go to Greek?
Well, I'm just saying that if we go back to the if we even go back to the Aramaic, it's not
hmm
saying that. It's not saying
Okay.
it's saying it's an abomination, but it's not meaning that it's going to cause you. It's not mean it means over time it's going to kill you. It's not good. God doesn't like it. It's an abomination to God. That's what he's saying. He's not saying that they're going to go out and stone you. It doesn't say anywhere where you're going to get stoned to death for eating some shellfish. It just says don't
Yeah,
do it.
it actually does, and I can only go by the Bible that's printed now. I can't rely on 15 different interpretations, and that's not the only
Well, if we're going to go back to
example. There's
if we're going to
lots
go
of
back
those.
to the
If a
beginning,
woman
that's what I'm saying.
has sex outside of wedlock, you're supposed to drag her to her father's doorstep and stone her to death in front of her. Okay, that's what it says to do.
Right. Okay. It does say that, but we also got to look at it in the cultural sense. I mean,
Mm.
there you have to look at the building of a civilization. It has to grow. A building of a civilization always has to grow. You have the Stone Age, you have this age. I mean, there was different time periods where people did different things. There was, there were people getting married at 10 years old back then. We obviously don't do that today, and we obviously don't look at that like that's something to do. That's pedophilia to us now. You see what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
thank you for saying that. So then again,
Yeah,
quoting the Bible is
yeah.
not necessarily instructive right now.
I'm just saying, you have the infancy stage, you have the building installation. People weren't living as long as they're living today. They were actually living short. There was more infancy deaths than back then in those times. So you have to always look at things in that context, in that period for that time, because we understand that this was the early civilization.
Mm-hmm.
There was Moses was needed in that time, but we also know Jesus came and he had to set things right, because he said, hey, what you were doing was just, practicing the letter of the law, but the letter of the law is really written in your heart. Right from wrong based on what I put in your heart, based on the teaching that you were raised up in. We all have a conscience. We all have a conscience, but not to go deeper than that, but I'm just saying modern women are selfish. They're career driven. Okay. They put everything.
I don't see how that's inherently true. You're saying modern women are selfish. Where does that come from?
Independent from data, from actions, man.
So what's the data? What's the data that demonstrates that?
The very nature of a woman, in my opinion, is not necessarily of innocence that we think she is.
Who thinks women are innocent?
Everybody. It depends on the Western civilization. How we put women on a pedestal and things like that. But what I'm saying is the woman that we put on this pedestal, in her mind, she is the movie. She is the star. She has goals. She has dreams. She has aspirations outside of a man.
And those things are bad.
Whereas before, it was more where she had more dependency on a man.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, interdependency is the way you want to go, where we both depend on each other. We both move in one accord. There's no one accord. Like I'll bring up my very first marriage, and I always call the first marriage is practice. You learn from your first marriage. It's not really like you're gonna last. If you think you're gonna last long, good luck. Hopefully it does, but usually you're gonna go through some problems, and if you don't have the right people around, you're not gonna be able to deal with it and stick around and stay. But there's so much competition. I'm over here trying to lead and go this direction, and I got a woman saying, you know what, I think we should go this direction. So, back in the day, I'm not saying this was the right thing to do, but you have more control where you can say, no, we're doing this, and this is how it's going to be. I can't physically force her to jump on my side. I can only use persuasive words to convince her that, hey, this is where we need to go. And if she doesn't want to listen, she doesn't have to listen. There's no consequence for her not listening or following my instruction or anything like that. She's a free being. She can do what she want to do. So how can I build a family if I'm trying to put us in this direction and she's saying, no, I think we should go this direction? So I'm saying.
There's so many things that you brought up all at once. I don't know that they're connected. But so this is my takeaway from what you just said. Okay. That somehow it was better when women just did what they were told. That's what it sounded like you were saying.
I'm gonna just, in a way, I'm saying that women need to listen more to the man.
Why?
Because this is a patriarchal society.
Okay, but that's not necessarily. So here's the thing. I think it's valuable to understand that you
are leaders.
Okay, fair enough. However, it is true that most societies on Earth, in fact, most mammals are organized around a patriarchy.
Unless you're a hyena.
Actually, there's most of them. There's like 7 of them, and hyenas are not necessarily matriarchal, but they're close because some of the females are bigger. But so there's about 7 species, but there's about something like 6,500 species. So obviously, the default in nature is a patriarchy. However, that doesn't mean that someone automatically has to listen, a woman automatically has to listen to a man, right? Because you have to separate the society at large.
Who should lead? Who should lead?
Hold on. I'll get to that. however, someone should follow a leader if the leader is capable of leading, and to suggest that every single man is capable of leading every single woman is silly. All right.
Well, women are emotional. So how do you lead if you're in your emotion? How do you make the right decisions when you're emotional? Because when your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. Explain that to me.
Okay, so that's a nice oversimplification, but men and women are both emotional. Men and women are both intellectual. It's just a question of degrees, right? So if a man wants a woman to follow him, he needs to demonstrate leadership, because remember, in nature, right, there is always a test. The male always has to pass a test to prove that he is worthy.
Who's stronger, the male or the woman?
Again, fine, men are physically stronger, but the point is that even though hold on, even though men are stronger, don't they have to still prove themselves?
Amongst men, yes, we do.
No, they have to prove themselves to women. In just about every mammal species, including humans, that is biologically and scientifically true. Men have to prove themselves worthy of being with a woman. Is that not true?
I have no problem with that. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. So good. We agree on that. So
we agree on that.
If that's the case, then if a man has to pass a test, is it guaranteed that every man passes that test? Absolutely not. Because a man is competing with another man, which means that there has to be a loser in that contest. And that man who loses does not have the right to lead. So the idea that all men are leaders is just inherently incorrect.
Well, I never said all
with all due respect.
I said, but there's a patriarch. There is a patriarch, and there is a system.
Fine, there's a patriarchy, okay, but that doesn't mean that all women should follow all men.
Well, here's this. Here's this. Okay, here's this. If we weren't in a Western society, right, built by men, because men built this world. Okay, men invent things, women consume, men invent. If we didn't have this Western society, and we didn't have all this money and these capitalism and stuff, what would women do? Where would their protection come from? My thing is, if you want a man's protection, you got to come under a man's submission.
Mm-hmm. And have you seen rape statistics lately? We're not doing a great job protecting women.
I don't know about the statistics of rape, and I don't know.
Okay,
I
that might be a good thing to look into. And how about abuse? How about physical abuse? Have you looked into those statistics?
No,
so we're not doing a great job. We're not doing a great job of
men are out there abusing women. I do not believe that men are just out there raping women. And oh my God, matter of fact, we can't. Let's just say the R word, because YouTube's gonna clock this and it's not gonna get monetized. We don't want that. So we don't see a lot of men out there doing the R. Okay, we don't see a lot out there doing abuse. This is not the color purple and I mean, I don't know too many mystics. My dad never abused women. My dad never did any of those things. My dad was an upstanding person. He was fair. He was righteous. I don't know. My uncle's the same way. I don't know what goes on in other people's family. I know I grew up in a neighborhood where it wasn't necessarily the best neighborhood, and there was things going on. But I'm telling you, I didn't see much of what of what this abuse and all. It just
so because you didn't see it, it wasn't happening.
No, we know it happens, but let's be real. I mean, is it really an epidemic? If it was an epidemic, it would be louder than what you're saying.
I didn't use the word epidemic, and I'm not saying it's epidemic, but I'm saying these things happen,
it's
right?
Not all cases. I'm saying those are isolated cases. Those are isolated cases. Those are not the generality.
Okay, so we're going from general to specific and then back to general. So I'm kind of lost in the sauce here. So
what do you mean?
If do you want to talk specifics or do you want to talk in general?
Well, I want to get to some data. I want if you have the facts on the rates of the R word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can certainly look into that. I mean, the data is out there.
I can look it up. I can look it up later too, and I will. But I'm like,
Yeah.
if you have it now, man, I would love
No,
to
I don't.
know.
I don't have it at my fingertips, and I'm not
Okay.
going to
So,
look it up right
my
now.
thing is this.
But
My thing is, you don't
however,
have the numbers on
do
that?
you believe that crime happens?
Of course.
Okay,
Of course.
so do you see crime happening?
I've seen some, but I don't see it
But
happening
but you don't see all the crime that's happening, right?
Of course I can. Of course I can.
Okay,
But I'm not going to use
again,
that to say to stop that, to fix something.
your upbringing notwithstanding, everyone's individual experience notwithstanding, there are facts to be had about what's happening in the world. And I'm not saying that the majority of men are running around are wording women or causing them physical harm. That would be a gross overstatement.
Yeah, that's not.
However,
if
when you bring up the idea where they're going to get their protection from, then I have to start talking about times where they're not protected. Okay, these are real problems in American society and in most societies in the world, where women who are the weaker sex physically in general are suffering at the hands of men. Again, the degree that it's happening is specific to the data that anybody can look up. You can look at census information, you can look at crime information, you can go to rain.org, RAINN.
Can you say it's 20%, 30%, 40%? Can you give me some numbers like that? Can you give me some roundabout?
Again, I don't have the information at my fingertips,
so
I'm not going to be irresponsible
it could be 5%,
and
it
quote
could
it.
be 8%. Then,
whatever it is, it's too much in my opinion.
That's a small amount.
Okay, so if 5% of the women in your family were experiencing that, you'd be okay with it because that'd be a small amount?
I mean, no, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be okay with any of it if it was happening in my family. Of course, I wouldn't.
Okay,
but
so then it's happening in society. So then I'm not okay with that.
I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying I don't know if it's happening because it's so small. And I'm saying we can't stop crime. We know what's going to happen. We can't stop. Mm-hmm. We can't stop a mass shooter to do. We can't stop it. Even as small as a mass. Even as I don't know how many mass shooters. It's not that big. It's not as big as someone stealing. It's not as large numbers as that. It's an isolated instance. We can't use that one instant and then say we got to protect all women because of this one thing. No, we can't do that. I'm saying if you.
So what protection are you referring to?
I'm talking protection. I'm talking about from physical harm. I'm talking about providing. I'm talking about mental. I'm talking about.
I'm talking about physical harm also. So again, I'm confused. We seem to be talking about the same thing, but you seem to be disagreeing at the same time. So I'm very confused. So you believe that men should protect women from physical harm, correct?
Yeah, men should protect women from physical harm.
I believe that too. But if we're not protecting women to the most that we can, we're failing at that.
I don't know. I can't say that. I can't say that.
Fair enough.
Maybe you can say that, but I can't say that. I can't say that.
Fair enough.
I can't say that because I don't know, and I'm a researcher. I'm gonna go look at the data, and I'm gonna come back with the facts, statistics, and data once we get off this thing. But I can say this: if you want a man's protection, you need to be under his submission. A man's just not going to protect something that's not his. Bottom line. Are you going to go protect your neighbor's house?
So let me ask you this then, because that's a fair point.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask you a question. So your point is, if a woman wants a man's protection, she has to submit to him, right?
That's a fact.
But doesn't he have to prove first that he can protect her?
I think he's a man.
That doesn't mean he can protect her. Are you saying all men are capable of protecting women?
Yeah, all men are capable of protecting
they're not.
Women.
They're definitely not.
Listen,
they're definitely not. There's no truth to that whatsoever.
You're built differently than a woman. So you're saying
I acknowledge that.
You're saying that you can't. You're saying that a man can't handle a woman. You're saying.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
You said protect. You said protect. So who is the man protecting her from?
If we're talking about physical harm, we're talking about an intruder. Now, is every man capable to beat up every man? No.
Okay, so that's
Some
what I'm
men are
saying. Again, we
stronger.
agree. We're
Some
agreeing
men
on
are
things, even though
stronger.
you sound like you're not agreeing with me.
Well, I'm agreeing to I'm agreeing with that a man can protect a man can protect a woman. A man can
No,
and
but
protect a
you're
woman.
not agreeing with that.
If-
You just said not all men can beat up every other man.
Well, no, because we know because it's not always a man. It's not. What if it's an animal? I don't know. I mean, how many men can
Well,
fight
let's
off
assume the
animals?
intruder. Let's assume the intruder is a
I mean,
person.
okay,
Okay,
if
to
it's another
simplify
person,
the example.
this
So
is what the Bible
if what you
says.
said was true, I'm following your logic now.
Follow my
So
logic.
what you said was a man is there to protect a woman. You also said not every man can beat up every other man. So that
Can,
means
and we know that.
by logical conclusion, that means that not every man is capable of protecting a woman.
If we see, here's the thing. Before you can enter into the house, you must first bind the strong man. Okay. Before you can overcome that house, you have to defeat the strong man in that house. It's not easy. It's not easy to just go up and walk up to any man. You got to understand that if a man is protecting something he owns, he's going to have a little bit more unless he's fearful. Men can be fearful. Men can be cowardice. Okay, and then that woman's going to see that, and then she's going to realize, hey, this man cannot really protect me.
So should she follow him though, just because he's a man?
I'm saying this.
No,
If that
I need
woman,
an answer to that
yeah,
question.
should
I'm
she
trying to work
follow
with you
him?
here. So
I
I
hear what you're
need to
saying.
know the
I hear
man
what you're
that
saying.
cannot protect her, should she follow him blindly?
She needs to pick a different man. She
Ah,
needs to
okay,
pick a
thank you. So
different
we're
man.
on the same page. We're
She needs
literally
to
on the
pick.
same page.
She needs to pick.
So
The
you
woman's
made my
job.
argument for me. You
The
made my
woman's
argument
job.
for me.
The
Thank you.
woman's job is to pick wisely.
Hmm.
Okay. The woman's job is to, of course, pick the man that's going to give her the chance of having a family, having a legacy, of getting the offspring. That's why in the animal kingdom, we know what happens in the animal kingdom. Not every male gets to mate. Not every male's gonna mate. Okay,
So we agree.
but
We agree.
but
Thank you.
but the man is the head, and if you choose that man, yeah, if you choose him, if he's smart or not, you chose him. That's your protection. That's your protection.
Unless he
And
isn't.
and now, unless he isn't okay, let's say that. Let's say you're married to that. Let's say you're married to that man that can't protect you. What am I going to tell the woman to do? Divorce him? Go find another one? You got 2, 3 kids by this man? No.
Well, again,
You know,
that's a scenario you're painting, but again,
well, you painted that scenario too.
I was
You
simply
painted a scenario
addressing
too.
these blanket statements that you were making. And again, I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that they deserve more examination. That's all.
And you know, I totally agree. I make a lot of blanket statements. I make a lot of bold statements. I make a lot of general statements. I make a lot of statements that are very controversial. But in the essence of it, I'm saying the man is the leader. The man is the head.
Unless he's
There is
not.
a patriarchal structure. There is a patriarchal structure.
But patriarchal
Who is
structure
going to
is a
determine?
societal thing, right? And a society is made up of individuals. So each individual is not the same. That's all I'm pointing
No.
out.
Okay. If
So
you're saying that,
so
I
we're
agree.
on the
If you're
same
saying
page.
that,
We're on the same page, brother.
okay.